Hi, dear friends. Welcome to this masterclass, and I remain your host, your facilitator, and your mentor. And my name is Dr. Julius O, Aroba, your World Financial Entrepreneurship Mind Surgeon. For today, we're going to be discussing about the difference between how the rich and the poor use loan. Loans are common for a lot of people, and loans is a very sensitive aspect where a lot of people shy away from when we talk about wealth. And if you're on the journey to wealth, there is no how you will not be able to make use of loan for a positive side of things. And loan comes in different versatility of life. And a lot of people, when they make use of loan, is that you use it for a wrong thing or for a right thing. And for a lot of people, some people say the purpose of loan is to be able to help them to afford to cover their lifestyles. And I will always talk about the similarity between who uses loan and what usage of loan are meant to be for between the rich and the poor. The poor, they always use loan for consumption. When I mean consumption, anything that you can be able to consume. It can be clothes, it can be for anything that does not bring money in. Maybe to afford a lifestyle for clothing, or they go for parties, or they go for buying phones, accessories, lifestyle in general. At the end of the day, some people use loan to collect food. I don't know what category of person you are. Some people use loan for causing poor planning. Because before you know it, maybe they never planned their life, their finances very well. And at the end of the day, by the time you look at them, they'll be asking you for urgent 20K or urgent 1K rand or 1K dollars or 20K dollars. At the end of the day, in your local currency, it shows that they're not planning because of emergencies. And again, some of them even use it for short-term comfort. You know, some of these poor folks out there, when they collect money, they want to be able to just use that money to take someone out and leave it to be able to determine to where. At the end of the day, it's not about consumption. It's not about you actually using it for something. And loan that does not produce income. When you look at everything I've talked about, they don't produce income. They either be taken away from you, which is liabilities, as a form of loan. But the rich and the wealthy one, somebody with a rich and a wealthy mindset, we always use loan for business, to be able to input it or maybe add it into their capital and or their business, to be able to skyrocket the business to another level where it's going to bring more profit and also expand them in some areas. Maybe, for example, in some of the businesses that we do, we use it for real estate, where we use it to expand some of our assets. We do land banking, we buy equipment, maybe in terms of our construction sites, or maybe you want to be able to increase some of the assets for your business. You want to be able to buy more equipment, expand your business so that you can actually be able to do more and produce more to be able to have more income and profit for your business. Scaling, technically. And again, it also helps when you get loan, because loan these days comes with a lot of terms and conditions. And it's good for you to be able to use loan to expand and leverage. Loan is not meant to create a cash flow in some cases. And according to one of my mentors once said that you use debt to get richer, while the poor use debt to get poorer. And when you look at it, everybody who's operating business in the global space, when you're scaling, the world richest persons, the world richest man or woman on this planet Earth, they all have access to loan. Loan actually helps them to become much more richer. At the end of the day, they are owing for on the positive side, but on the business side of things. Number 2, what loan does after collection. For poor people, those money start losing value immediately because you're using it for consumption. And once that money is spent, there is no how you can get a return on that money. And again, for every loan you collect, there's always an interest or percentages on those loans. And this now leads to a lot of people now having repayments, which comes into a future income or finance stress. And some people, they get stressed because they were not unable to meet up. And that is why the poor keep getting poorer and the rich getting richer. What does the rich do? The rich and wealthy ones get the money to go into income generating systems because they built a business, and the business is an asset because it's producing money. And before you know it, the asset now pay back the loan over months, over years, so that they can be able to be on a very good credit score ratings for that. And they don't spend it on consumptions. And also, in terms of loan, the rich always use personal income, use the loan to become a personal income to be protected in anything they do. And one of my mentors, Warren Buffett, also said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And the poor people do not think about this because poverty does not make them to think out of the box. Until when a man actually put up a system in place, and you put a system in place and you go to sleep, and that system is generating money, which means your business must have actually been able to have a system and structure in place, so that when anybody places order for that for whatever products or services you're offering, and you dispatch those products or services while you are sleeping, you'll be making money. Replication is one of those things. Now, there is a lot of things that has to do with loan, and this is where a risk and relationship comes in. The relationship with the poor is that they are afraid to calculate the risk. They don't calculate if it's going to be a high risk loan or short-term risk loan. They don't mind. They just want to take that money to go into anywhere for consumption for their immediate needs, which is very, very wrong. As I always say within the community of the zillionaires, RSA Green Zillionaire community, you've got to be able to plan to have minimum of about 6 months of your living expenses, so that in case you have something that is going to be urgent, you can fall back to those savings that you've actually been able to save. And again, the poor people always look at comfortability and generated loss, which is about high interest consumer loan. Because you look at them, most of them, they always go on one app or on the web. Before you know it, they want to borrow 10K, 20K, and that becomes a high yield. Maybe there might be a high risk that's asking you for about 50% repayment, or 40% or 30%, which is very high. And at the end of the day, you find out that because they don't have a very good credit score, they don't even have they are blacklisted already. But now, because they want to cut corner, and all these guys that borrow this kind of loans, we borrow them because they know that they're going to pay and they're going to be able to go for them. And some people have lost their life, they've lost their health in the case of this. One of my mentors, Ray Dalio, also mentioned that he who lives by the crystal balls will eat shattered glasses. You know, a crystal balls, when you live by that crystal ball, it shows you different things. At the end of the day, when that ball is broken, it's going to be shattered. And that is why he said, risk must be managed and not guessed. Number 4, repayment strategy between the poor and the rich is that the rich, they take calculated and measured risk. They borrow only when cash flow can service the debts, and risk is understood and mitigated. Number 4 repayment strategy of the poor is that the poor always try to repay from salary and unstable income. Imagine the money you are even trying to say is your income that is meant to take you home. It's no longer taking you home. Because by the time the money comes, you have owed a lot of debt. And you miss payments, and you become a liability to the government, to your community, to your family, to the businesses around you. At the end of the day, you're paying a high yield interest, and debt will keep recycling over and over and over, and the interest will keep increasing because you're not able to meet up. What the rich and wealthy ones do is that the repayment is built into a system models where you want to be able to see, you want to set a certain target. So, okay, on a monthly basis, this repayment go through a cycle. In 6 months, in 1 year, the money is being paid back. And the loan pay itself back automatically because the money was plunged into the business of the wealthy ones and rich ones. But that actually pays back their loan automatically. One of the wise, which is Jim Rohn, once quoted that poor people spend their money and save what is left, but rich people save their money and save their money and spend what is left. Now, I always tell people that any money that comes into your hand, there is no need for you to spend that money at the immediate. Because in that money, there is a present, there is a future, and there is past in that. Because money is tripartite in nature. Your salary is tripartite in nature. It has a soul, it has a spirit, and it has a mind. Now, for every money, the spirit behind every money is mammon. And when you look at the spirit behind money, the money that comes into your hand, you've got to look for a way to see how the soul of that money can go into investment. The spirit of the money is when you are able to save the money, some portion for saving. And the body and the mind of that money is for you to see how you can be able to cover all debts, to be able to, you've got to know how to divide your money. Practical example I'm going to give to you today is that there are two people that borrow, let's say, for example, $5,000 US dollars. And what the poor, let's say the first person who is a poor guy, when he borrowed that money, he only borrowed that money to buy either a phone or a car or a lifestyle upgrade. To say, you know what, I want to pepper them, I want to show them. To go and buy an iPhone or maybe a latest Samsung phones. And that do not produce